My name is Dr. Kevin Pecca. I wanted to make a podcast that exposes people to the true miracles of life and health. All the guests on this show have been specially picked because they bring something positive to the world. They have some of the most amazing and inspiring life stories. These people have a passion for living, healing, and leaving the world better than they found it. There is something inside these people that made them keep fighting through all the tough times, even when people told them it was not possible. They carried on and made their lives beautiful again. And now they are sharing their experiences with the world. This is the Expect Miracles podcast. Enjoy the show. Today on the Expect Miracles podcast, we have Steve Sudell. Steve is a physical therapist out of Santa Monica, California, entrepreneur, and founder of a fantastic product called the Neck Hammock, available on Amazon and neckhammock.com. Today, Steve shares with us his life story on how the neck hammock came to be. He describes the different neck problems and conditions the neck hammock has been able to help people with in the comfort of their own home. Steve shares with us the importance of trusting your intuition and going with your gut instinct when it comes to making important, impactful decisions. And he also shares with us some important steps to help you grow a great product. Please welcome Steve Sudell. Steve, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing today?
Good. And Steve, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Jupiter, Florida.
Nice. Are you still down there?
So I currently live in Santa Monica, California. I've been here for about 6 years now.
Beautiful. I was out there for like 4 years. I loved every minute of it. Can't beat that weather.
No, you can't.
So Steve, how did you get into the medical profession?
So I grew up playing sports, and I remember sitting on when I was rehabbing my shoulder for post-football injury and wondering what I was going to do with my life. And I'm like, physical therapy, this kind of seems like it could be fun, helping people. You're staying fit yourself and dealing with health. So I went into athletic training at University of Central Florida, and then that was a nice transition into the physical therapy program over there in St. Augustine. And I've primarily since then been working with CrossFit type athletes and athletes in general, creating a nice bridge between physical therapy and personal training. So
beautiful. Now you have a great product on the market called the Neck Hammock. We're definitely going to dive deep into that. How did that start? How did that company start up? Why did the company start up? Yeah, if you could just explain how this company all started.
The simplest way that I could put it is necessity breeds innovation. As someone who grew up playing sports, I've dealt with a lot of neck pain over the years, and there was nothing that I really could give myself at home to work on that other than, me going to see a chiropractor or a physical therapist. There's just nothing I could do on my own. And so fast forward into when I became a physical therapist, I was introduced to cervical traction. And cervical traction was one of those modalities that really helped every single time. We had our own $2,000 unit in our physical therapy practice that I used every time I tweaked my neck. And so now I have my own smaller clinic. And one day I was working out and I tweaked my neck again. And I decided that I want to recreate cervical traction. So I did, using a long resistance band. I wrapped around a pole. I laid down in it for 10 minutes. And 10 minutes later, my neck pain was totally gone. So I knew that I was onto something. I just had to spend the next 2.5 years developing that idea because complicated. It's the back of the head and your ears are very sensitive. So I wanted to make something that was really comfortable, that just snugly and securely wraps around the back of your head, but still also creates that clinical grade cervical traction that you need, the amount of decompression that you actually need to be effective. And I also wanted to make it something that was very affordable and you could travel with it. So something that you can put in your sock drawer when you're done or store in your luggage when you're traveling on the road. So
nice.
It took about 2.5 years to get to that point.
When you first started doing this, was there anything out on the market that you saw that was like filling this capacity for the traction at home or?
Yeah, so the current products that were on the market were very cheap and ineffective, like the over-the-door traction units. There's just so many things that I don't like about those. And they're like in the $40 price range, and they've been around for decades.
Right.
There's zero innovation with those particular versions in forever. Or you have the other model, which is the Sonder cervical traction unit, which is great, but costs a few $100s and it's big, is bulky, and takes up a lot of room. And just collects dust when you're done using it. So there was nothing really that was in the price point that I wanted to make it at. and also had the portability component as well.
Now, a lot of people have these great ideas, but it's actually, I bet, a ton of work to get it from drawing everything out in your head to actually being on the market. What was that process like for you where you're like, I have this great idea? I'm sure you ran into a couple hurdles there, or it was probably a lot of work to actually bring it into fruition, correct?
Correct. Whenever you come up with an idea, it's really a long road. It's much, much longer than you ever think it would be. Even when you think you're really close with a prototype, putting things together like the manufacturing and marketing, and there's just so many other elements like legal, what trademarks, copyrights, patents you should get. It's really costly and it takes a lot of time. So it's just one of those things that requires a lot of patience.
Now, did you just start when you had the prototype? Did you just start going around to other physical therapist offices and chiropractic offices and saying what you got here? And what was the general public's first thought on the product?
So the thing is, because I have my own physical therapy practice, I was able to test it on real clients.
Right.
And so I would just get their feedback, people who really did have neck pain, and see what they thought. And based on like the day in, day out comments and feedback, I was able to tweak the design, tweak the amount of tension in the bands, tweak just the placement of the pads. And so I was able to get real feedback from real people on what they thought of it, which was great.
And Steve, so this is just an audio podcast. So for the people wondering what the Neck Hammock is and how they use it, what do you do? What do you need? And how does it work?
So the Neck Hammock is a simple device that utilizes cervical traction, a mechanism of decompression that's been around for decades. All you literally have to do is just pull it out of the bag, wrap it around a doorknob or attach it to a door jamb, lie down and relax. You can adjust the amount of tension depending on how much traction you think that you need. The cool thing is that your body's pretty smart and knows how much tension it wants and doesn't want. So if you want to increase the tension, you just kind of scoot further away from the door. You want to decrease the tension, you just scoot closer.
Nice. And I've been looking at the reviews. I've never tried the product. I've been looking at the reviews online. Everybody seems to be loving it. They seem that it's like very comfortable and everything. I was curious, is there anybody that like should not be using the product or should consult with somebody before using the product?
Yeah, so we have a list of contraindications listed on our website because it's not appropriate for 100% of the people. In fact, it's
almost nothing is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, name one product that's good for everyone.
Yeah.
And you really can't do it. So people who have had a cervical fusion, for example, like we want to make sure that the fusion is completely healed.
Mm-hmm.
So we want them to consult with their doctor before they recommend cervical traction. There's other things like rheumatoid arthritis or instability of the cervical spine. You're too young, we don't really want you stretching your neck that much. But the one thing that I will say that is very unique about this device versus other cervical traction devices is that you control the amount of tension that you want. Some of the other devices, like they just give you this fixed, controlled amount of pressure, which in my opinion is the most dangerous part. But when you're in control, the chance of you hurting yourself just drops dramatically. And I've created in fail safes to where if you try to give yourself too much traction, because there's people that really just want to crank on their neck, but that's not exactly the healthiest thing for them to do.
Right.
It will gently slide off of your head so you cannot actually give yourself that much force.
Okay.
Where some other devices have a chin strap, I don't have the chin strap intentionally so that you can't really lock yourself into having excessive amounts of traction. So
yeah. And so I really like this product because there is definitely, I love when people can become their own doctor per se, when doctors are given exercises to do at home, stretches, and this seems like another great product where people can take their health into their own hands. And what conditions do you see the Neck Hammock really effectively helping out?
One of the reasons why it's been so successful is that there's such a wide demographic of people who really need it. Like for me personally, when I was sitting down a lot behind like a computer, doing a lot of documentation or whatnot, the muscles in the back of my neck would become very stiff and tight. So that decompression was very helpful for me. But then you have the opposite end of the spectrum of people who develop text neck, who are looking down all day long. The cool thing about this device versus others is all you have to do is shift the middle pad lower to the middle of the neck, and that'll actually help restore the natural C curve of the neck.
Wow. Steve, I'm very glad you brought that up because that was my one question, because obviously today the technology is not helping out anybody's necks. We're constantly at desks all day. We're looking down, we're looking forward. A lot of people have a forward reversed curve. It's going in the wrong direction. And when I was looking at some of the videos, I was thinking to myself, this is great for a lot of people, but a lot of people, their necks might be so far reversed that it could be almost harmful to them. But that's really amazing that you brought it up. So you can actually use this device to restore the curve as well.
Yeah, that's something that we certainly need to do a better job of educating the two different ways of using it, because not only can you help restore it by, again, moving the pad lower, but it actually creates a gentle cervical traction so that it doesn't have so much compression through the actual joints while you are trying to restore that natural C curve. So I try to give people the test. I'm like, you have text neck, use it this way. If you just have just general like neck pain, then you probably could just benefit from general traction. So
have you gotten anything, like any feedback with tension headaches or any type of headache at all? Does it work with headaches too?
yeah, so really cool story. I was actually having kind of a tough day. I just spent a bunch of money on legal fees. I was kind of wondering whether or not I should even go through with this thing because I just spent so much money. And one of my friends texted my wife actually saying, hey, I just want to let you know that I've been dealing with this really nasty tension headache for the last 48 hours. Like nothing will get rid of it. Took pain meds, took caffeine, drank water, I did ice, I did heat, nothing helped. And when you guys weren't in the office, I just went upstairs and I just laid in the neck hammock for 15 minutes. And it's the only thing that helped relieve my tension headache. Like my tension headache was gone after that. So
that's amazing.
That was really, really cool for me and really inspiring for me. And for tension headaches specifically, it's been extremely effective. So that's an area that I knew that it could be pretty effective, but until we started getting the actual feedback, that's an area that a ton of people can benefit from.
Now, Steve, making any type of product, I could imagine while you're going through the works of everything, there's probably a little bit of resistance you hit. I'm sure you might have showed this to somebody and they're probably like, oh, you know what? That's not going to work. That doesn't sound like it's going to work. Did you get a lot of resistance in just coming up with the product and showing it to people?
Completely. Like when I would just show people the product, they would look at it and be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Or you'd have people flat out just saying like, no, that's not going to work. People won't know how to use it or whatever. Until I got them in it. Most of the people that actually got into the device, they got it. They the benefit. But just simply like seeing it, looking at it, especially because the early prototypes that I tested people on, were not completely refined to what it is today.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely a ton of people and even big companies too that we spoke with that they're like, yeah, the mass consumer is just not going to want this and whatnot. And then we had our Kickstarter launch and basically proved all those people wrong, that people actually really do want this type of thing. And they can see and they can feel it just by looking at the videos.
And what was it that just like made you keep going and pushing through and knowing that you did have a great product?
I constantly kept testing it on myself and on my patients and getting their feedback. And you just sometimes have to listen to your gut. And when you know something, when you know you've made a better mousetrap, because I knew that this was a much better mousetrap than the other devices out there, I just had to really believe in my instincts and just go with it. And for me personally, when I got past the using it for neck pain, I actually use it now for meditation.
Nice. That's a good idea.
It's like my 15 minutes to just get away from technology and just relax. And that's actually where I get so much of my creative energy from, is the time spent in the neck hammock. So I just knew it had so many different purposes and functions that it would be one of those things that's worth pursuing.
And Steve, so there's so much that goes into like a product that like this when it comes out. Did you have to bring anybody else in to help you get your vision out there?
Yeah, so in that also is kind of a process. I was actually kind of fortunate that this is actually my third invention. So I had already been kind of introduced to some industrial designers and I've been introduced to different patent attorneys. And so I kind of understood somewhat of a foundation of how to make an idea happen. But in order to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, after doing all the research, you got to ultimately hire people who know what they're doing. Because if I were to make my own video and put it out there, it would not have had nearly the success as putting it into the hands of professionals and having them make something truly special out of it.
Are you talking about like the actual like commercial of how it works and everything? Like getting it professionally done?
Like on our Kickstarter page, for example, like I have no idea to even make a web page look nice. Like that's completely out of my area of expertise. So to hire someone to put my vision down on a web page that actually looks aesthetically appealing and appeals to the audience, was really important. As you know, like being a healthcare clinician, like I have had zero experience with anything web design or
Yeah.
business related or whatnot. Everything has been purely about learning how to help people.
Yep.
So this has all been 100% learning experience for me on how to create a product and have it actually be successful in the e-commerce world.
Now, where can people purchase the Neck Hammock? Is it all over the place now, or are you guys in stores or just online?
Yeah, so we're primarily online. So we have our website, neckhammock.com. We are also on Amazon, so you can find us there. And we've been picked up by Sharper Image. They're selling the Neck Hammock. The Grommet, they started selling it. Hammacher and Schlemmer were in their catalogs. So we're now really just trying to make a push for retail.
Nice.
Which is something that I am realizing takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, nothing that just happens overnight.
How long has the product been out for?
So we officially launched on Kickstarter in October.
Oh, wow. So it's relatively new.
Yeah. So it's still under a year old.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the crowdfunding world since end of February. And so we've actually only been selling online on our website since March. So really only about 5 months that we've been actively selling online.
That's great. And so can people use the Neck Hammock? How do you recommend it used? Can people use it every day, a couple times a day? How do you recommend what's a good use for it?
So it kind of depends on everyone's body type, right? If I were to use the analogy of flexibility, if you saw someone who is extremely tight, you'd probably recommend they stretch their hamstrings 3 times a day till they start to improve their flexibility, and then they can start to taper the amount that they use it. Kind of the same thing here, right? If you have a lot of tightness in your neck, you can use it 3 times a day for up to 15 minutes each time. And then as you start to become more flexible and the spinal hygiene improves, then you can use it kind of as needed. So everyone's a little bit different on exactly what they will need.
And is there a point where you can be on it too long?
Yeah. So we recommend that people don't use it for longer than, I say 15 minutes, because ultimately people are probably going to use it closer to 20.
Uh-huh.
We've had people fall asleep in it for like 2 hours and say, like, fantastic.
Yeah.
Not what I want, because you can overstretch the muscles and ligaments.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend that. I recommend that they cap it at 15 minutes.
Gotcha.
That's really all you need for it to be effective anyways.
And Steve, where do you see this going in like the next 5 years? Where would you like to take it?
My whole objective with this was just to, again, just provide neck pain relief at an affordable price to thousands of people out there who need it. And so I just want this to be in a place to where people, it's readily available, whether it's online, in retail stores, which can allow me the opportunity to even make it better. We have some newer versions that we're working on here in the future. So we want to kind of have a whole line of affordable, portable products that can provide people with different sorts of pain relief beyond just their neck. So
that's awesome. Are you guys working on anything for the low back, like decompression?
Yeah, so that is a pretty interesting mousetrap.
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot more force than the neck does.
Definitely.
But yeah, that is something that we are actively working on. It's just also trying to make it affordable as well, because that's, when you talk about increasing force, you talk about increasing cost. But
what is the price point on the Neck Hammock?
It's $49.99 right now.
Okay, $49.99. That's good. And you can get it Amazon and your website and everything else?
Yep.
It's great. Steve, anything else you'd like to share about the product or your story or anything like that?
The biggest thing that I would like to share is just like, when you have an idea, sometimes you just got to go for it. It's hard to connect the dots looking forward, but looking back of all the things and all that I went through and all the things that I learned, I'm so eternally grateful for the entire process, because now if I have another idea moving forward, I know the exact roadmap on what I need to do to get there. But you got to kind of put in the hard work, and you got to kind of take a gamble. And even if you fail, like, you'll still be okay.
Do better next time. Yeah,
exactly. And because the entire inspiration of this for me that lit a fire under my butt to make it happen was my younger sister was dealing with leukemia. And I was sitting in the hospital room with her when she was just going through so much pain. And I had this idea in my head that I was like, you know what? life is too short for you just to sit on things. And if I have an opportunity to help people, I need to do it. So that kind of was the catalyst that got it going.
That's amazing. And what were some of the big roadblocks that you would hit that you had to get over?
I would say just overall, like what patent perspective, like what patents I would immediately try to pursue, what type of advertising I would try to go into immediately, how much money I should be spending on developing X, Y, and Z. I know now what manufacturers to go through, because initially the first few manufacturers I went through were really expensive and didn't really produce a great product. So now that I have all those connections and relationships and whatnot, I can pretty much just pick, plug, and play for the next ones.
I mean, and obviously choosing these people to be with you is a huge thing. How do you do that? Do you go with your gut feeling most of the time, or how do you choose these important people to bring in with you to make this product successful?
Yeah, listening to your intuition goes a really, really long way, because every single time that in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't really know about this person. Like, they really sound like they've, on paper, they may have like showed you the world that all the success that they've had, but in the back of your head, you just kind of know something's not quite right. And every single time I've had that feeling, I've been right. And so now I really pay attention to my intuition. I work with really good people, even if they're more expensive or they're less qualified. If they're really fired up and passionate and just like good, genuine people, you can work with that, because you can make people better and smarter as the more that you work with them as well.
And now, how do you take this great product and continue to grow it? Is it more of like a gradual growth, or do you see sometimes where it just skyrockets up? How do you grow it from here?
So kind of like the third leg of the stool would be retail. I think that once we can get it in retail and really just have like a full e-commerce presence, full Amazon presence, full retail presence, I think that that's the way that it really has an opportunity to grow. As far as speed, from what I found, it can really just like spike at any time, depending on like what celebrity mentions you or what media outlet covers or whatnot. So those things can happen. We're actually in talks with QVC, so that could be a big thing for us as well too. So
throw you on Shark Tank.
yeah, so I mean so we actually thought about that, but at this point we don't know if we even need it with what we're doing. Maybe for other products down the road or other additions to the product, but yeah, I mean things like that could cause an immediate amount of growth, but that's not necessarily the best thing from what I've found.
Absolutely, yeah.
Growing too fast, not knowing how to adapt to it, can also get you into a lot of trouble. So I'm cool with the slower growth type route.
That's awesome. Steve, one question I usually ask my guests at the end of every show, what would be one piece of advice you would like to just gift the audience, something that you've taken with over the years? It could be anything, that's something that's really resonated with you and helped you out to where you are today.
I would say that the power of people and connections is one of the most undervalued assets that you can have. The people that I've met over the years who have opened different doors for me or created different connections to me, to different marketers, retailers, designers, whatever, like the more people that you put yourself in contact with and develop positive relationships with, you have no idea when later on down the road that can pay huge dividends for you. So that's one of the things that I'm really learning. And I can start to now really see that, having been in this industry for close to a decade now.
That's amazing. And Steve, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, they bought the Neck Hammock, they want to know a little bit more about it, where can they go to find that information?
Yeah, so you can go on our website, neckhammock.com, or you can email me directly, which is relax@theneckhammock.com, and you can put attention Steve if you have a question specifically for me. I'd be more than happy to answer or check the email every day. You're not dealing with a massive company, you're dealing with a very small group of people, so I see everything that comes in.
Get him while he's still small here. He's growing. All right. So Steve, thanks so much for coming on today. Really enjoyed this episode. Everybody go check out Amazon and check out the Neck Hammock. And if you like it, leave a nice review. And Steve, thanks again for coming on, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Likewise, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a review. It really helps boost the podcast and spread the good word. My chiropractic practice is located in West Orange, New Jersey at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. You can also find us on Facebook at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. All of my information is on my website at drkevinpecca.com, drkevinpecca.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dr. Kevin Pecca for podcast episodes, patient testimonials, and educational videos. I have daily affirmations and inspirational quotes on Instagram at Easel Affirmations, EASEL Affirmations. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at drkevinpecca@gmail.com, drkevinpecca@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Cheers.